question, just unmute yourself and give me the question. Israel, do you have any question?
Hi, sir.
Okay, let me hear you.
Hello, sir. I have questions, sir.
Let me hear you.
Sir, when about the fundamental, I have big problem about that, sir. Because it's like I've seen and looking at the news whenever the news about to come out. There's something we call actual and currency source, Abi Somasha. Sure, you get, sir.
Yeah.
So, how are we going to know the number, the actual out? They will release the actual, right? So, how are we going to know that if the news is going to go for buying or selling? Sometimes they will release the news and it will be below the consequence and the previous listing. So sometimes the actual will be greater than the consensus. You get, sir. But I don't know how to use the actual number to predict the market.
Yeah, thank you. That is what I'm saying. People were saying a news will always change the price action or the price direction. I hope you are getting me. So for now, what I will tell you is that just be much focusing on the price action, like how you able to identify, like are able to what, identify your zones. I hope you are getting me. Because if we're able to identify your major trend, right? Whenever the news drop, there's no need. If we get a pull to break this low here, meaning that our price has changed to downtrend. But if it's going to continue to the uptrend, a news can never come and break out this area. But if we're able to identify your point of interest, remember, if we're having a break of market structure, price has already what? Overextended. But what are we expecting? We're expecting what? A pullback. I hope you are getting me. So when news drop in, a news what can pull the market to what? To a downside, coming back to this key level. Let's say the price will continue pushing to the upside. It will pull to the downside, come back to this key level, and later price will start pushing to the upside. Why? Because we are still following what? The price action. We're having an uptrend, right? So, and here is our point of interest. And news can pull the price to this downside fast. It will move fast. It gives us what? Our fast movement to this key, to this point. So that's why sometimes you will be seeing that, let's say we are moving the higher highs and the higher lows. Later, as soon as the news drop in, we will see a fast move to the downside and then fast to the upside. Why? Because we got what? A hit towards our point of interest. So what are we expecting? We are expecting a continuation to the uptrend. I hope you are getting me. But when price break out from this key level, we are not going to looking for buying opportunity again. Meaning that the price itself has changed what? A direction. We change a trend to what? To the downside, from the uptrend to the what? To the downtrend. I hope you get it. Do you get it?
Yes, sir. I have one more question.
Okay, let me hear you.
Assuming we analyze using price action on any currency pair. So assuming the news is now released and it doesn't follow our price action, maybe it go against our our price action. How are we going to manage that? As in, how are we going to cope with that?
You first need to ask.
Are we going to run in loss?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
you first need to ask yourself, what is the essence of stop loss? Why do I use stop loss? I hope you are getting me. We use stop loss because we cannot predict or we cannot get 100% of our entry. We know that we can be wrong, right? So the stop loss is there to what? Detect for us whether we are wrong. I hope you are getting me. So let's say you place a buy entry here, your stop loss will be low here. I hope you are getting me. As soon as price breakout, it will hit your stop loss. Tells you that what price is going to change the trend, right? So the demand, when the demand fail, supply what? Supply create, we create a supply. Whenever demand fail, because this is our demand. When we fail the demand here, meaning that price can come here, give us something like this, and continuation to the downside. Instead of going to the upside, it will not go, but it will give us what? A bit push to create what? A supply around this area. I hope you are getting me. So after the supply created here, price will push to the downside. Later, it will come back to the supply zone and continuation to the downside. So whenever we break out, that is why we said if price pushing to the upside, continue looking for buy opportunity till your last trade hit your stop loss. I hope you are getting me. Continue looking for a buying opportunity to your last trade hit your stop loss, because from here, if price come back to this key level here, meaning your stop loss is below here. If price hits your stop loss, meaning what we get? We get a shift of market structure. So if we get a shift of market structure, demand what? Fail. And supply has been created. And supply created, we will expect what? Buying opportunity. So if price move pushing to the downside, we look for shorting opportunity till our stop loss what get hit. If price pushing to the upside, we look for long opportunity to what our stop loss hit. When we get a hit on a stop loss, meaning we are going to get what? A shift of the market structure. So that's how we manage. A news can drop in, later it will come back in like this, later push the up a bit, creating a supply, and then it continues into the downside. But later on, price will come back to the supply zone and hold, start pushing to the downside. So when your stop loss hits, you don't need to place a trade instant. Like same price is going down, let's say a news drop and you see massive movement to the downside. So you are going to change, right? I said, I was saying, sometimes we will having something like this, a high, a low, a high, right? And then a low, a high here. Our point of interest is around this area. A news can drop whereby price will get into this area and then later it pushes to the upside. So imagine you see a massive move to the downside and you place your trade in middle of the candlestick. You see, as soon as it hits here, it started pushing to the upside. Remember, when the news dropped, the movement is very fast. The momentum is fast. So you can't change. That is why always it's either if we're not in trade. If we're not in trade, let's say you didn't place a buy limit around this area, meaning you are not in trade. So price can come back here and start pushing to the upside. You are not in trade. Don't try to change. Maybe you're going to place a trade where price has been here. And price gets here. Remember, we are already in a high. And we buy at a lower price and we sell at what? A higher price. So from here, what are we expecting? We're expecting a pullback. So if you buy here, you are just risking your capital. And also if you sell here, you are risking your capital. But you need to buy here. You don't have any sell buy limit here. So you couldn't execute trade around this area too. So you don't need to change. Yours is for exercise patient. Just because demand will create a run here and the price will come in and start pushing to the upside. You will definitely get an entry. It's just a matter of what? Patience. If you don't have patience, forget. You can analyze the chart very well, but later you will give all your money to the broker. I hope it's clear to you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear to me now, sir.
Okay, we thank
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Sorry for that, sir. Assuming, I forgot the question. Ask another person I remember before then.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Yeah. Okay, my question goes like this. I can see from what you are drawing. If we go back to that, the place you normally draw a sketch for us, as in where you're using your pen to draw. You always look for,
Ariwo tí mò ń gbọ́ yóò jẹ́ kí n gbọ́ kíní dáadáa.
yeah, you always look for a this thing. You
Vibration
always
yẹn
look
ń
for,
mọ́ mi létí.
oh, someone is talking at the background. You always look for an entry at the base of the move that broke the most recent higher high. That's when price is moving in an uptrend. But there are sometimes you are looking for an entry at that area because of supply is there. But there's sometimes that supply will not be at that end there. You can see some other supply along that move that broke the most recent higher high. So must we wait to come to the base, as in the higher low that broke the most recent higher high, to look for a supply, or can we look for a supply along the path of the move that broke the most recent higher high? I don't know whether you understand the question
I get you.
I'm asking.
Yeah. When we
All right.
say a market, a break of market structure, let me go to, I think, GBP USD. When we say a break of market structure, let's look at something here. We see that price is moving to the downside from here, right? We have a lower lows and lower high, right?
Yes.
If you look at this area here, this is our true high. Because if it this high, that gives us what? This low.
Yes, sir.
I hope it scratch you. If it this high, that gives us this low. Meaning that we got what? A shift of market structure here, right? So
yes, sir.
This area here, you will see someone may saying that you may mark this area as what? Your supply. How you are getting me? Your supply.
Yes, sir.
By looking at this space, you can see we said a breakout is whereby a body candle has been breakout, getting close either above or below, right? So looking at this area, you will see that if from here, that whereby we got what? A body close, not here. I hope you are getting me. Look at this,
yes,
this place exactly. You can clearly see that we got a body close below this level, below here, right? So we got a body close before we got in this a bullish candlestick here. So meaning that with this one is not our main supply. This one is trying to go back to our supply zone for point of interest and start shorting from there. But it fails, so it gives us what? Inducement. So we cannot consider this one as a what? As a main supply. But this one from what? Internal structure. This is what? Our internal structure. I hope you are getting me, because we have internal and then external. So all what is going here from here, whatever is happening here is just an internal structure, right? So if you read it very clear, you can clearly see that we got what? A break of market structure. Let's say this one is a weak break. For this, I don't consider this one as a breakout. I consider this as what? Liquidity grab, right? But the body close started from here. I hope you are getting me. The body close started from here. So before we break out, which candlestick? What was the last bearish candlestick? That before we got the breakout, it be here that we get what? A last bearish candlestick. So here will be my what? My demand. And you can clearly see that price came there and started what? Mitigating, right? It started from here. Because we are going to continue pushing to the downside. That is why what? We break out from here. So anytime we break out, you see, before we break out, what is our last bearish candlestick before we break out? It be this area, right? So meaning this one is what? Our supply. You can clearly see that price is in our supply area, whereby it's trying to push to the downside.
Yes.
I hope you are getting. So the zone that you need to start like look for your point of interest or your supply is what? The last candlestick that form or that created before we got what? A break of market structure. So looking at this area, we can clearly see that what is our last bearish candlestick before we get this a breakout. It be this one, right? So we are going to
Yes.
what? Wait for price to come back to this key level before what? We will start shorting. Before we will start shorting. So meaning that we're still having a whole price can be hot coming back, because looking at from GBP USD, we are still waiting for price to hit either daily or weekly time frame point of interest before we will start what? Shorting.
Shorten.
Yeah, so for now, we are still looking for buying opportunity. But if you go to the lower time frame, because of this area here, our price started pushing to the downside. So we don't know if price able to, now we don't have clear trend. Market just the price is just messing up, right? From here, we don't have like proper setup here. So all what you need is what? Ignore this one, just to wait for what? The correct setup before you join in. From GBP USD, we don't have a correct setup here. Market price is just mixing up. So an area whereby we get what? A break of market structure, that's where we mark the point as a what? Our point of interest. When price gets to that zone, definitely we will get some reaction from there. You get it?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Is there any questioning?
Oh, sir. Okay. Secondly, what do you think about so I've also been reading a little bit about this order block. Some people have like what they call refinement of order block in order to make sure, like sometimes the order block zone might be quite large. There's some candles, sometimes the last bearish candle before the bullish move can be quite large. So some people have been talking about how to refine order block. Like now, how can we refine order block in order to get reduce our stop losses and get a more risk to reward,
I get
as in
you.
stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about multiple time frame trading. Look at this area. You can see that this is what our demand or supply or order block here, right? You can see that it's very big, right? So in this case, you can just scale down, like let's say 15 minutes time frame or 30 minutes. Let's use 30 minutes time frame. So from the 30 minutes time frame, you can clearly see that this is what our last bearish candlestick, whereby we got what? A break of market structure here. You can see it from here, right? Price came in here. So now may use this one. I hope you are getting me. So instead of you to put your stop loss above here, right? You will now put your stop loss above here, right? You see that price came in and it started what? Pushing to the downside.
Falling.
Right? So you can still scale down.
Wow.
You can still go down, let's say 15 minutes time frame. We see that 15 minutes time frame. This is what our last bearish candlestick. That's what we got what? A break of market structure, right? So instead of you placing a trade, let's say around this area, maybe you place a trade around here, you rather what? Place a trade here, and your stop loss will be what? Above here. Hope you are getting me. So when you place your trade and put your stop loss, you are still risking small. You see that price came in and it starts pushing to the downside. I always get
Yes, sir.
So that is how we go about refunding or defunding the order block. Do you have any questions?
Sir, thank you very much. As in, you just scattered the table. You just broke everything down.
The thing is that, let me tell you.
Thank you, sir.
In this forex market, to be frank, as I said earlier, what we are doing right now is just a basic. analyze the chart, everybody can do it. But how you position yourself in the market counts very well. I hope you are getting me. So I would advise you, if you don't have
Yes, sir.
mentor, just look for someone who can what? Who can train you very well. But a YouTube video, especially, I would still advise you not to be looking for those videos whereby they say they have pushed 100 USD or 10 USD to 10K or 1K and something. Don't be looking for, because if you're looking for that kind of videos, it makes you trade like a gambler. Because let me tell you the truth, there's no way. Always we said you must risk 1% of your account, right? And you are
Yes, sir.
trading with, let's say, 100 USD. If you are trading with 100 USD, how are you going to if you raise 1% or let's say between 1 or 2% of your account? 1% of your account is around what? 10 USD, right? I hope you are getting me. $100.
$1.
$1, yeah, it's
So
$1.
1% of your account is $10, $1.
$1 from 100 USD, right? Yeah. So imagine what position can you create,
Yes, sir.
or what loss side are you going to use that you are going to what? Raise only $1. You can't get it. I hope you are getting me. You can't. You can never raise $1 on
Yes,
one
sir.
trade. Any trade that you place, you raise not less than, let's say, 5 USD or 10 USD, right? So it's just a matter of how you position yourself in the market. How are you going to position yourself in the market? Don't be greedy. Don't say price is in my point of interest, so let me place more. I have done some before. I was trading a bit. Even some people here, they know me. I started with them. We were trading 9-3. Later on, I went up. Why? Because I broke my account, because I was having overconfidence in my trade that this entry will go in my way. I placed a standard loss size, some are 2.00, some are 1.00. Like, it's at the end, I tell myself I'm mad. How we are getting me? A little push to my stop loss, there I can't get growth. So you two don't go and do the same thing and be trading like a gambler. No. So I would advise you, try to look for somewhere you think the person can teach you any amount. If you charge you something and you think you can afford to pay to the person, let the person guide you. In this first market, if you don't have a good mentor, you can't be a successful trader. Have someone who can always be doing analysis with the person, right? You do analysis with the person will guide you, give you everything. Watching only YouTube video can never make you a successful trader. Okay. So is there any question? Okay. What is the name? I think is it Lita or what? Do you have any question? Caplo, do you have any question?
Yeah, I'm just joining now, sir.
Oh, okay. So do you have any questions? You will get the video. But if you have any question, let's say concerned about all what you have learned so far from the previous, if you have any question, you can just let me know.
Now today will be the first I just joined.
Is that us?
I think today is the first that I'm joining now.
Oh, okay. Mohammed, do you have any question? Mohammed? Israel, do you have any question?
No, sir, I don't have question.
Oh,
But we'll need to get the videos later. Both
okay.
this question and
Okay. So we will end
thank you,
here.
sir.
Let me do some two recap. We said a rank in a higher time frame is a trend in the lower time frame, right? So whenever we have a move like this in a higher time frame, we will get a trend in the lower time frame. So before you look for maybe shorting opportunity from lower time frame. Let's say in the higher time frame, price gets into our point of interest here, right? Before you start look for. So when price gets into our point of interest, we no more looking for buying opportunity, but we look for shorting opportunity. But before you sell, you expecting price to give what a shift of market structure. Then you identify your point of interest and you start selling to the downside. So in the higher time frame, we are going to get a run to the downside, right? So we are always saying a rank in the higher time frame is a trend in the lower time frame. So remember to follow your trend all the time. And remember the news, fundamental news, always following the price action. There's no news that way to change a trend. When we're having an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows, whenever the news drop in, we will fail to what? A demand will fail if we are going to get a shift of market structure or a direction or a change of a trend. We are going to get what? A break of market structure, then price will come back our point of interest. Don't try to what? When price get to the downside here, don't try to change. Remember, we sell at a higher price and we buy at a lower price. So when price get to this point, we consider price is already lower. So we don't sell, but we expecting what? A pullback to give us what? A high before what? We start selling, right? So we'll end here, then we'll continue later if God permits. I hope there's no more question again. If there's no question, may God bless you for joining me here. We will meet once again. Don't forget to get a good mentor to guide you in your trade. Goodbye.